Welcome everyone to draw 11 of the BrokerLink Mixed Doubles Provincial Curling Championships, coming to you from the Gage Golf and Curling Association in Oromocto, New Brunswick. Our feature match today. Both teams from the Gage, team Christina Wurm, Dean Grattan versus Michelle Barclay and TrevorHanson. TrevorHanson and Barclay start the game with hammer. Already some rocks in play, a little wreck on the center guard by Dean Grattan there. Kind of opens things up for the remainder of the end. A couple corner guards to work with for team Barclay and Hanson. So I think you'll see Trevor try to utilize some of those. It's been great curling here all week. Come on down and watch some action here at the Gage Golf and Curling Association. It's $5 a day to come and watch some of the best curlers, mixed doubles curlers in the province play here for the Provincial Championship. We also have some great atmosphere, some food laid on by King's Concessions here. We got a soup and sandwich special on this morning, corn chowder. So come on down, join us, watch some great curling action. Trevor and Michelle tried to keep the kind of play to the middle there and froze to their own back four. None of those rocks, if you're familiar with mixed doubles, can be removed from play. So some good spots to start off with. I think Dean and Christina will be trying to freeze down to those, utilize them as backing. Just got to find their drawway here in the first end. Right off the bat, we got the cardinal sin of shots there for Dean. Never want to be heavy in these situations. Mixed doubles, you can't score any of those points. Just like four-person game, you can't score any points when those rocks are behind the hack. So they're going to be trying to make some adjustments, find their draw away here as the end goes along. Trevor and Michelle Barclay, looks like Trevor's going to be throwing shots 1 and 5 in this end. Michelle throwing 2, 3, and 4. Just piling them in the middle here right now. Dean's going to try to nose hit that one, stay on the nose of it. It'll end up being a kind of a good freeze situation for him if he was able to get close to nose on this rock. Rocks can be removed from play at this stage. Gets rid of a couple, does lose the shooter. Well, it rolls in behind the corner guard, but he wanted to stay on the face of that and take that rock out of play as well. He was probably going to be, if he was able to nose that, he would have made that same double, but had the shooter stay right on top of that red. So a little mistake, a little heavy there, but making a double when you're looking at 3 is not a bad scenario. So Trevor going to try to spread things out a little bit, actually going right on top of it. Could go around the corner guard and play this more like a traditional end and try to score multiples. There you go. I think they're talking about it now. Trevor's going to throw it on top 8. Probably leaves him a double. I know in mixed doubles, a lot of play is to the middle, and sometimes you kind of forget that and kind of keep plugging it up. But I think this is a good chance to play it like a traditional end and maybe utilize that corner guard and spread things out a little bit. Dean trying to freeze on the one top button at this time. Kind of dusting it over. A little heavy, taps it a bit, rolls open. We're going to have another look. Just kind of comes in, and you can see it just kind of rolls to the outside here. Leaves access to that for Trevor and Michelle to either nose it or make the hit and roll themselves. Great shot there by Michelle. Kind of capitalized on the mistake by Dean and Christina by rolling off there and made a perfect hit and roll to the top button. So good freeze, good draw weight needed here by Christina to kind of prevent 3 or a 4. It depends on who shot amongst that blue one behind the corner or the top 12-foot one. So we're going to have a look here. We're going to be able to tell that very shortly. Don't want to bounce off here. Little heavy, little maybe over scrubbed by Dean there a little bit. I don't know if he got some pre-workout into him before that, but a foot short there probably cuts him down to 1, a tough shot for 1. So I think they're going to play a hack waiter nose hit here, perhaps for 4, 3 definitely. I think the only way you can kind of cause some damage here is just to be a little heavy, a little wide here. Actually, just a little heavy, I find. On the ice this week, if you're a little off on your weight control, if you throw a little heavy, it does kind of hang a little bit. So definitely doesn't want to hit this on the outside. Just add a little more ice here in the hack. TrevorHanson. Trying to get it to curl early. That's probably not a good sign. Does spin it enough. I'm not sure who shot. Looks to be maybe blue. Gonna have a quick look here. Quickly decided. I think that means it was a steal of 1 for Grattan Wurm. Pretty good freeze there by Christina Wurm. Made a clutch draw, made it a little bit difficult for Trevor, and just that extra ice I think they took in the hack might have cost them a couple points there. We're just going to double check to make sure it was a steal of 1 there. We'll tell very quickly by who gets in the hack here. All right, we can confirm steal of 1 for Christina Wurm, Dean Grattan in the first end. After some looking at a lot of red rocks most of the end, they kind of out of nowhere just ended up with a steal of 1 after a little bit of a miss by Trevor there. So the consolation prize in those scenarios is that Barclay Hanson do retain last rock in the second end. Those are one of those ends where I like, you gave up a steal on the first end, but you could convince yourself that was just a good force and pretend the other team had hammer and they only got one. So you can feel pretty good about it. Either way, great shot by Christina there. Top button, dead buried. Shrinks the area for Trevor. You'll see him try to freeze and then freeze on that. Follow Christina down there as well. A little wide, a little heavy here for Trevor. Once again, just like Dean last end, a little heavy and wide. Never want to be heavy or through the rings on those kind of shots here. Light is good, heavy is bad. So it gives Dean Grattan a chance to bring another one in, kind of block off the area even more. In case you're wondering what this game means, it's an elimination game for both teams. This is a C division game, so the loser of this game, unfortunately, will be eliminated from the event. But this is also, I think it's almost like a C quarter, so a long road ahead for these teams. They have 2 losses under their belt, so going to have to turn things on the rest of the week, and if the winner sneaks through this one, we'll have to win a few more, but before you can win 3, you got to win 1. So here we go. Dean just a little heavy on his, froze to the back one. Seems to be a trend this end ball. Both teams seem to be having trouble finding the draw weight there. So big shot, put some serious pressure on TrevorHanson and Michelle Barclay here. If Dean can somehow find the top 4, top 8 even. Definitely don't want to be back and create a pocket. But a good chance to block off this side of the ice right now if they could find their top 4 foot weight here. Like I said, team's been struggling with this intern side and seem to be skating on them. Just everybody's been heavy so far. No mistake by Dean there. Great shot. I think it's majority of it's buried. Definitely something that Barclay and Hanson have to deal with. Even talking about maybe peeling the guard, running it back as well. Definitely a chance to play back line, hackish weight, just kind of spread things out, open up a path to the button. Over curled quite a bit, ended up hitting the center guard, rolled to a corner. Does open things up though. That's what we call a good miss. It was opened things up. It definitely doesn't look great for Hanson and Barclay in that 4 foot area right now, so getting rid of the guard that's protecting that situation is not a bad thing. So Dean trying to replace that guard. Wants to be kind of tight halfway, maybe at max. Just want to split center line here, it looks like. Does leave that top button rock open. I think it's time to make a play on those if you're Trevor here. Just needs to find a way to create a path to the button. Wouldn't be hard to move those top button ones if you were to hit nose, half, or maybe a little on the high side, a little on the broom side. Might jam on the top button one, might jam on the blue one back button, but it's still got to be a better scenario than what it is right now. Great shot. All you could do there, really. Managed to save the shooter and stay on top of the Grattan Wurm shot. So it does create an issue for Christina and Dean. You got to be a little careful now. Red is second and third shot with a fairly short run back, a 1 foot run back to remove the blue. So got to be careful here. Got to at least get this one in for second shots, third shot, sorry. Seems to be good line on this one if they could find the right weight. Gotta hit the, trying to hit the 4 foot here. Ooh, just rubbed the guard, I think. Straightened it out. So good shot by Dean. Over curled a little bit, but I think that's the side you want to miss it on anyway. So definitely an obvious 1 foot run back for Trevor and Michelle. Not sure they can kick that buried and somehow. I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe get both of those in a roll, but good shot there by Dean. Kind of shrinks the scoring area for them. They got, like I said, they have an easy 1 foot run back, but it should be wide open, or at least for a double or a nose hit. Talking about maybe hitting the one that Dean just threw there and nosing that as well. I think that's a decent call. Puts that would nose hitting that one that Dean just threw would actually put some serious pressure on Grattan Wurm, having to make a shot, or else they have that 1 foot run back for 3 or 4. I think they're going to go with the 1 foot run back after all. Try to stay on top of it if they can. Not throwing a lot of weight looking at the ice here. Probably just like back line, hack weight. Just get to the nose, tap it back, and lie second, third, and fourth. Put some serious pressure on Wurm Grattan. That rock, that blue one that they have edge of the button, seems to be fairly accessible. I think you can see half to 3/4 of that. TrevorHanson. So red, he was able to hit a little high side, get his 1 point. So score of 1. Nice shot by Dean there to shrink the scoring area. Trevor had to hit it a little high side to get his 1 point. So after 2 ends of play, a 1-1 score in our feature game on sheet 4. Thanks for joining us here today. If you're on the YouTube and you want to throw something in the chat, tell us where you're listening from. I'm James Grattan. I'll be joined a little later today by Chris Jenkins as well, and he'll be taking over for a few games as well for the remainder of the weekend. So thanks for joining us today. We'll be providing coverage of our event here throughout the weekend and into the finals. So thanks for taking part. Come on down here and watch some great curling action here at the Gage Golf and Curling Association if you're local. It's only a $5 day charge, $10 for the rest of the week. And we have some great specials, drink specials. Kingston Sessions is providing some great food and drink for the event, so come on down. So TrevorHanson in the hack starting off. Grattan Wurm do have hammer in N3. Trevor is seems to be struggling finding that first rock draw weight there. It's a couple of times he's ended up throwing that one through. So Grattan and Wurm have last couple ends capitalized on those mistakes and placed this one top four, top button. So let's see what Christina can do here. Dean's working it over to make a curl. Great weight by Christina here. Great spot, top four, top button. Not sure if that is buried or not, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So great shot, great weight by Christina. We have 3 other games on the ice here this morning. 2 B games, B section games. Shannon Tatlock, Jamie and Layton up against Kayla Russell and Mike Donovan on sheet 1. Russell Donovan snapped a 3-ender in the first end of that game. On sheet 2 we have Gabrielle King and Brian King versus Justine Como, Jack Smeltzer. Tied the 1-0 score for Team King. And on sheet 3 of another Gage team of Brooke Tracy, Alex Peasley versus Taryn Abernathy and Ben McNamara. Tracy Peasley was able to score 2 in the first end of that game. And then we have our sheet 4 feature game here, Grattan Wurm versus Barclay Hanson. Shell came up a little light on that intern side, trying to freeze that one back 4, so it gives Dean and Christina a chance to guard up this situation. Going to be a nice tight guard here, 3, even top 12. Freeze on your own is not even bad if you leave it in the right angle. Just definitely don't want to bounce open here. Gets to the nose. Good shot. Lines them all up. Might be able to get rid of a couple if you can throw a bomb here, but I think it decided to throw some, probably looks like to be peel weight given that ice. Trying to either get to nose. I'm not sure if they can see it all. Our angle's a little off to the side here, but they can somehow get to nose. They get rid of probably a couple blue rocks, but pretty happy to move that one top button, at least get that out of there. Looks like to be unfortunately didn't do much with that and wrecked on the center guard, ticks it over for a corner. Kind of takes away your intern draw path too, which is probably the most disappointing point of that shot. So some good guards here by Grattan Wurm, and you're going to see Trevor and Michelle pretty much just have the run back on their red as their only option. So yeah, Dean's bringing it right in. I think on this one you could be a little short here. You don't need to pile them in there. I think Michelle and Trevor will be happy to play in the rings here for the rest of the end. I'd like that to stop right there. So yeah, definitely an opportunity to get play back in the rings here. Make a double. Have a couple red ones in the rings. I think that was an opportunity just to simply throw a guard there. I find sometimes with mixed doubles you end up just piling them in there for, here goes the peel. The important part of this one is just to stay here. I think it's important to stay, make a double, stick around the rings. Great shot by Michelle there, spreads things out. I still think blue's lying 2, but definitely a better situation than it was a moment ago. That same shot would have been available if they had thrown a guard there, but at least the shooter wouldn't have been in the ring. So got out of it a little bit there for Christina Wurm and Dean Grattan. He's still lying 2. A little easier tap now, more for Christina, or for Michelle and Trevor on those top 12-foot ones. So you're trying to get another one here, half buried around those. Big scrub by Dean here. Great shot. I think that's partially buried. That's important. If you can nose hit and make the double here, Trevor and Michelle are in good scenario, but I think they're just looking at a freezing in there, which I think is a great call. So Trevor throwing his last of the third end. Grattan Wurm lying 3. I think Dean would have been a little happier if that was 1 foot higher. But Trevor was a little heavy on his first shot of this end. This is a little wider path, so a little different for him. This might be sometimes a little slower, but I find later in the game sometimes this path can be a little quicker, actually. It hasn't been used, been polished down by sliders and people sliding over top of it. So sometimes this can be a little faster, but I think in the third end, Trevor probably has to give this a little more. Trevor's up to sweep. Trying to make a curl. Trying to make a curl. So blue's definitely lying 2. Looked like that red hung on for third shot. So if they want their 4 points, I think they gotta. It's a wide open hit for 4. If you make contact, you get 3. So Christine will be throwing this shot. Got 2 in your back pocket at this point, so nose hit for 4, a little roll in. Making contact gets you your 3 points. Dean's trying to make a curl. Unfortunately rolls out, but does score 3. So good shot there by Christina. 3 points for Team Grattan Wurm, and after 3 ends of play. So Barclay Hanson will have hammer going into our 4th end of play. We're going to reset the scoreboard and have a little message from our title sponsor, Broker. All right, and we're back in 4th end coverage of our BrokerLink 2024 Mixed Doubles Provincial Championships, coming to you from the Gauge. Feature game, Barclay, Hanson, Wurm, Grattan. With a 4-1 lead for Team Wurm, Grattan. Nice little shout out by the New Brunswick Firefighters Curling Association on our YouTube feed saying, "Good afternoon, James. Thanks for your coverage of this great event. Thanks to you guys for everything you do." In case you're wondering, we have a couple of former provincial firefighters champs from our club here, Adam Murphy, Eric Smith. So shout out to those guys. Probably missing a few names as well, but I'll get them here in a moment. So good shot by Christina on her first, putting that rock top 4. Trevor was able to remove it, tap it to the back 4. It does open up a path for Team Grattan Wurm to get another one in there. Dean's seemed to have found his draw weight in this game so far, and I think that's been the difference on the scoreboard. Was able to kind of put a bunch 4-foot top button this entire game. If he can keep that up, it'd be making it tough. There's another one right there. Perfect freeze right on line as well. So kind of eliminates the back 4-foot one. There is room there for Trevor to follow that down. Trevor and Michelle have shaken things up here a little bit. Trevor's now throwing shots 2, 3, and 4. Trying to find some combination that gives you some momentum. Both teams still have power plays to use. In case you're wondering, the power play is used by moving the setup shots, the pre-place shots to the either side of the, so it'll be a corner guard and one behind that on the edge of the 8-foot. So both teams have that option available to them. You can only do that when you do have hammer. So in this situation, BrokerLink could have used the power play, but I think they're saving it for a little later in the ball game. So a good shot by Trevor, was able to kind of unlock that blue rock. So Dean will have the same shot to freeze down to that situation. Seeing some nice curl in this path. Both teams have kind of figured this out. Little plan B there, kind of a little heavy and wide, but it was able to use the outside red to kind of kick in off of. Ended up rolling to a pretty good spot. I think red is still shot, but definitely surrounded in good positions by the blue rock. But that one top button is going to be trouble for Hanson Barclay at this point. So another freeze, another little tap in there. You want to stay as close to nose as you can. Trevor played a similar shot in his last. Trevor trying to get it to curl most of the way. A little heavy perhaps. Was able to move that one at the top of the button off on top of the red. So definitely did something with that shot. Definitely a better scenario than it was, but it does give Dean another chance to put another one in there. Same shot. Even if he was to tap this red one a little bit on the nose, kind of makes things difficult. Last time he was a little heavy and wide and kicked in off that one edge of the 4, so that's option still there as well. Not touching it so far, so it might be a little heavy. Was not heavy and made a perfect freeze on that red shot. Definitely has his draw weight today. So Trevor and Michelle trying to figure out a way to get a second point in there. I still think it might be red. We don't have an overhead view here, but it might be red still. So coming around with the out turn. We haven't seen this shot much this game, and both ends coming this direction. We're seeing a lot of interns for those righties out there. But Trevor taking on this out turn might be a little heavier in this path. It's been sitting for quite a while, so see if he can make this adjustment. A lot of teams and players would come up light in this spot if it's been sitting for a little while. So Trevor with his last of this fourth end. Trying to freeze on the button. Yeah, as predicted, ended up a little heavier in that spot and curled. Just that spot's just been sitting there a while, and it's not unpredictable for sure. So Dean and Christina will have a chance to block off this side and makes the scoring more than one pretty tough for Hanson Barclay. I think you want to be anywhere from top 4, well, even top button to top 8, just somewhere blocking off that path, that out turn side. For Christina, this will be her in turn. So hopefully she learned something off Trevor's shot there, that this side might need more ice, more curl. Usually when it's been sitting a while, it will curl and be a little heavier. So see if they can make that adjustment after watching Trevor's. Dean's on it early, trying to get it over. I think it does the job. It definitely makes that out turn draw tough. I think it still might be there. That's a fairly long guard, but it'll be a little bit of a mystery for Michelle out that wide. So they're looking at some run backs and that sort of thing. So I think they've settled on this out turn draw to the button. I think it is red lying 1. It's kind of hard to tell, like I said, from our angle here, but I think Christina and Dean would be happy with a single point for Barclay Hanson at this point. So big shot here for Michelle. It is there. I think if you were able to get by that guard by 3 or 4 inches and have the right weight, it would settle in there nicely. Definitely has the weight, just needs to curl. So Dean does tap the red rock, so it is 1 for Barclay Hanson. In the fourth end, they take a 5-minute break here at the for the fourth end. So we're gonna run a couple commercials from our title sponsor here, and we're gonna give you some updates from across the other sheets here as well when we come back. And we're back with fifth end action of our feature game here. Team Christina Wurm, Dean Grattan up 4-2 over Michelle Barclay, TrevorHanson. Dean Grattan and Christina Wurm do have hammer up 4-2 playing the fifth end here. So Michelle, looks like they're going to stick with what the plan was last end. Michelle will be throwing shots 1 and 5 this end, and Trevor will be throwing 2, 3, and 4. Christina Wurm and Dean Grattan have deciding not to use the power play in this end. Going to save it and put it in their back pocket for a little bit later in this game, the second half. So first rock of the end off and running here. They're already on it fairly early. Looks to be a little tight. Wrecked on the center guard. Leaves a little hole to access the one on the button, but you'll see Dean and Christina deciding which turn to come around here. They've been using this out turn side, Christina's in turn side, the majority of the game, so I think you'll see them play that. Actually made a liar out of me. They're going to go with Christina's out turn. Come around the wide side. We haven't seen this shot played this game so far, so this has got to be a little slower, a little heavier over here. Really wide on this one. Yeah, as predicted, a little stiff over there. It doesn't make the hog line. No use on that side of the ice for this entire game so far, so kind of a guess. So Michelle and Trevor will go on the out turn side here. Trevor's out turn and try to get one in there. They've kind of spread out the guards a little bit, so I have to navigate that. Okay, they've decided to go around the in turn side. There's more room on this side. It's just the fact that this side hasn't been played much, so it's the first one in there is kind of going to be kind of a guess, but I think you could still go on the out turn side and accomplish what you want here. But let's see if Trevor can make the adjustment. He had a similar issue last end with the new side as well, so good shot by Trevor there. Figured it out pretty easily. No issue at all. Great shot, top four frozen. So now Dean's going to, hopefully he was paying attention to Trevor's shot just then. Going to try to freeze, follow Trevor down. Kind of off and on at this point, must be close. Little light. Missed the right way though, a little light. Takes that path away from Trevor and Michelle. They almost can't use that side anymore. It's the way you want to miss that shot for sure. So they're going to, Trevor and Michelle switching it up here, coming around the out turn side. Try to find that 4-foot again. I think there's a hole between those two red guards, so you're going to probably see that come into play here as we continue on with this end. I think you can see a little bit of that red on the button. While we have a minute, while Trevor throws this shot, we're going to update some scores from across the sheets. Sheet 1, Shannon Tatlock, Damian Lathan, Kayla Russell, Donovan Russell up 5-1 after 4 ends of play, or 6-1, apologize, 6-1. Team King, Brian King versus Justine Como, Jack Smeltzer, tied up at 2 after 4 ends. Great game going on sheet 2. Brooke Tracy, Alex Peasley, Taryn Abernathy, Ben McNamara on sheet 3. Tracy Peasley snapped a 3-ender in the 4th end to tie it up at 5 after 4 ends of play, and our feature game here on sheet 4. So Trevor just kind of wrecked on that center guard as well, opened things up a little bit. Does plug up that hole what we were talking about, so you're going to make me a liar there. I said that hole was going to come into play, but he looks like he's taken that away. So Dean's just looking at a little tap on his blue rock here. Lots of good things can happen. You can kind of roll off. Even hitting this guard is not a bad shot. So lots of guards in play in this end. Does open up the blue-red raise, so I think you'll see Trevor and Michelle guard the situation. Good guard by Trevor there, no mistake. Perfectly in line with that blue, so I think you'll see Dean maybe take on a run back at this point. They're going to have a little discussion. Definitely maybe an out. There is an out turn through the hole for one perhaps, but I think you got to take on this run back at this point. Got to be careful it doesn't jam on the back button one, but I think you are hitting a red onto a blue, so the blue is the one going to be flying into the 4-foot, so that's that kind of makes you feel a little bit better about what's coming into the 4-foot area. I think they're playing this with lightish weight. I think they're afraid to throw peel here. I think you can play this with normal weight without harming anything. Worst you're going to do is have red lying 1, and they're lying 1 already. So Dean's off. Looks about board weight, and judging by the slide. It's again probably a little afraid to throw too much weight into there. Not a great attempt over, probably with the lighter weight. Probably wasn't enough weight there to do anything at all anyway. Probably just the wrong weight choice there, but no harm done. Doesn't help either though. So there is some options there. I think they tapped that red into the top 8-foot area. So Dean and Christina will have a little half rock double, perhaps 3. So I think Trevor and Michelle see that, and they're going to be a little careful. I think they're going to plug that hole up. They see that same thing that we're talking about. Little half rock, quarter rock double on those reds does get you your 3 points. So just going to plug up the hole, take that away, and not sure what else there is for Dean and Christina to get that red one out of play. There is a blue corner guard that you could run in without any harm. Michelle just keeping it clean. They must like the line. Great shot by Michelle. Plugs up that hole. That option's not available to them, so really it kind of leaves them only one option. This is about a thick half, perhaps, on this corner guard. on the high side. No, I can't see any way this hurts you. The best you can do is probably pick that red one off the button for 2. Anywhere on the outside will give it a scare at least. So Christina Wurm with her final shot of this end, looking at 1 Barclay Hanson counter at this point. Dean's trying to make it curl. No, over curled. Oh, a little rub there would have been good too. Anyway, it'll be a steal of 1 for Barclay Hanson and end number 5 for a 4-3 lead for Grattan Wurm. It's going to be interesting to see if they use their power play in the 6th end. That's probably the end you want to definitely score 1 or 2 points to retain control of this game. So let's see. We're going to update the scoreboard and come back to you after a word from our title sponsor. And we're back with 6th end action of our feature game. Barclay Hanson, Wurm Grattan up by 1 with hammer in the 6th end, and we've seen our first power play of our feature game, as predicted. Wurm Grattan utilizing the power play in this end needs to get on a scoreboard. If scoring in the 6th end when you're up 1 is imperative, so scoring 1-2 here would be a great victory for Grattan Wurm. So it was interesting to see how Trevor would defend that. He's down on the scoreboard without hammer. He's going to want to bring play back to the middle. So good call with the center guard there. Grattan Wurm going to try to take that away from them there. Barclay Hanson wants the play to come back to the middle there to get a steal opportunity in this end. So I think you'll see both teams kind of ignore that corner guard situation. Might have been a good call for Dean and them just to also draw around that corner guard as well and stay away from this middle. But well placed by Dean on shot number 1, coming around that guard top 8 foot. Some decisions to be made for Barclay and Hanson, and perfectly placed rock by Dean there. Fully buried top 8. think they settled on the freeze top 8 foot. Probably the only shot they could call here. They could come around back 4 buried here as well. Good shot by Trevor. A little heavy, taps it to the button, but it does keep the shooter buried, so it does shrink the scoring area. Might even take that corner guard, that rock buried around the corner guard out of play at this point. Yeah, great corner freeze by Dean, by Christina and Dean there on that one as well. Well placed rocks to start this end. That corner freeze will allow them to kind of kick that red one out anytime they want there. So Trevor and Michelle going to go with the out turn, Trevor's out turn here to try to freeze one into that top, that back button rock. A little heavy on Trevor's rock. It does come down to that blue one, but it does roll off wide open at this point. So blue is lying one back button. A little chance here for Christina to tap that red one out and roll on top of the blue. Lie 2 buried here, so big opportunity. Great shot by Christina. Just kind of even rubs the one top 8 foot, but was able to nose the one on the edge of the 4. Obviously, if you get by there, you're making a great roll to the button, but pretty happy that they didn't wreck too hard on that top 8 foot one, and does move the one off the 4 foot. So great shot by Christina. Another chance for Trevor to freeze one into the situation. Either turn, really. He could come around the out turn side, he just played it, maybe a little tap and roll on that one, or he could come around top button here, take the end away from Dean and Christina as well. So this is a pretty important shot at this stage for Trevor and Christina to get in there. Needs to be full 4 foot. Great shot by Trevor. What did wreck on the center on the blue rock at the front, but did spin to top of the button, so was able to get as much out of that as he could. Christina with another pistol here. Hack Waiter knows that top 4-foot one, so no option for Michelle and Trevor at this point other than to freeze, maybe tap and roll into the button area. 3 great shots by Christina there to set this up. Blue is lying 3. Big shot, but also a good opportunity here to get on the inside of this blue rock. Even nose, little roll in. Nose kind of creates a pocket if you were just going to tap it a foot or so and make it real tough on Dean and Christina. But if you were able to roll to the button area, take this end away. Crucial time of our feature game here. They've seen this shot a few times, so I expect her to be fairly close to this. Both players are out there early. It must have been a little tight on the throw there. Ends up not close. She jumped up pretty early there. Obviously, she was a little tight of the brome and over curled on her. So this is blue lying 3. This seems to be a draw for 4 for Team Grattan Wurm here in the 6th end. Important 4th point. They got 3 in the bag for a 7-3 lead if they can somehow make this 8-4. Big shot here. You could come around on the intern side. They played a lot and just come down to your own rock as well, but they've seen this quite a bit too. Dean's had draw weight for the majority of this game, so let's see if he can find it here. There is some backing to play with as well. No mistake, 4 points on the board. Big score of 4 on their power play as well for Dean and Christina. Great end, well played. Some great shots by Christina. Sets up that end fairly nicely. So we're going to update the scoreboard, have a moment with our title sponsor, and we'll be right back with you in a few seconds. All right, and we're back, folks. 7th end action from our feature game on sheet 4. Grattan Wurm with a 8-3 lead over Hanson Barclay going into our 7th end. We are seeing once again Team Hanson Barclay using the power play, and we know how much we love that. Yeah, the crowd loves it. Everybody loves a good power play. Okay, folks. Okay, yeah, we get it. There's a power play. So now we're going to see how Dean Grattan and Christina Wurm kind of defend this. I think the looks like the call is just to simply draw one into the T-line 4-foot area, wide open. You cannot hit this rock, cannot be removed from play. So just trying to take attention away from that corner guard. Looks like this one's over curling a little bit. I don't think they want to be too close to that situation, but puts it in a good spot anyway. Frozen, partially buried perhaps. So we're using the power play for Barclay Hanson here. They're going to try to get on the scoreboard with a multiple score here. Need to get back into this ball game, give them a chance in the 8th end to tie this game up. was able to move that blue rock open and did roll as well, so no harm done there. Got one buried. Dean, Grattan, and Christina are throwing another one in the rings. Got to be careful when those opponent's rocks start to add up around the edges here. You don't want to ignore those completely. You're going to see this end kind of develop as a more traditional four-person end of curling here. We're trying to get multiple points on the board, so you don't want to leave some doubles here that can be made later and bring those other red rocks that are lying around back into play here. So going to have to be careful still. I know you got a commanding 5-point lead for Grattan Wurm, but lots of opportunity here for red rocks to get on the scoreboard here. We do have our first final of draw 11 on sheet 1. Kayla Russell, Mike Donovan with a 7-1 win over Team Tatlock Lathan. That was a B event game, so Russell Donovan will be proceeding through B division at this time, and Tatlock and Lathan will drop to our C section. Going to update some other scores. Team King on sheet 2 just gave up 4 on Como Smeltzer, so Como Smeltzer with a 6-4 lead after 6 ends of play. On sheet 3, our other gauge team this afternoon, Tracy Peasley, Abernathy McNamara. Abernathy McNamara up by 1. Tracy Peasley does have hammer. And then back to our feature game. As you can see, those 3 rocks on the side adding up quickly. Unable to make the double there, but did make a nice roll. Lines things up nicely. Dean and Christina are going to have to be careful. They seem to have no problem letting those red rocks add up on the side, so got to be careful here. A well-placed rock here will eliminate those red rocks on the side. Just squeezes by the guard. Unfortunately, didn't have enough weight to do anything good there, so TrevorHanson, Michelle Barclay with a shot out of nowhere to lie 4 here. That's what happens sometimes when you let those red ones add up. Trevor's going to try to roll away from the situation. I think Dean and Christina are kind of hoping for a nose hit so they can roll into that pile. But basically a wall there on the edge of the 12. So Trevor's going to try to roll away from the situation, take attention away, roll to the other side of the rings. Definitely doesn't want to nose hit this. Yeah, I can understand why he rolled out there. He definitely didn't want to nose. The worst case scenario was a nose hit there. So rolled too far, rolled out, but gives Dean another chance to do the similar shot he tried on his first one. He could hit the blue. I don't know if you can see any of that blue. He could hit that, remove 1 or 2 red, and probably kicks the blue in a little closer to the 8-foot as well. But he just played this shot, so anything close here will give Barclay Hanson some troubles. Just needs a couple feet more weight than he just had. Big shot. Looks to be a better line on this one. Wait to see what happens there. Not sure that did anything as well. It looks like Barclay Hanson might still be lying 3. Just didn't have enough weight to bounce in off that. I can't tell. It looks close for, I know it's 2 for sure. So Trevor and Michelle trying to figure out where to put this other one where it doesn't give Christina a shot to draw in there as well. A timeout needed. I think this is a good time for a timeout. Trying to get the timer's attention there. I think just simply throwing it, to the other side, back four, kind of forces Christina and Dean to deal with it. But I know the talk was to kind of draw another one over to that side as well, but I think just putting it right there where Michelle's indicating probably guarantees that you're going to score minimum 3. Dean and Christina could play the draw to that area again, even tap the blue up that Dean just threw a little bit and shrink it down, maybe give Trevor and Michelle a shot at only 2, but they're going to draw to the edge of the 4 on the other side. I think that's a good call. We'll see if Dean and Christina ignore that and play a little tap on the blue to try to avoid a big end, or do they just simply hit the wide open rock? See how quickly things can change here in mixed doubles. 5-point lead for Grattan Wurm. It looks like a good chance for 4 for Barclay Hanson. Get right back in this game. Good shot by Trevor, no mistake. Wide open 4 foot, so we're going to see what Dean and Christina decide to do. I think if you hit the open one, you're pretty much conceding a 4 points. They're looking at that one, might be closer than we thought. It's definitely 2 over there. I think Dean's indicating that as any contact with that blue kind of taps a little bit. Might get second shot out of it. That one in the 4 foot is always going to be shot, but I think this is the only shot that you can play to take away that 4 to even 5 ender here. The only way you're giving up 5 is if you don't make contact with that blue. But I think any contact with that blue on the angle there a little bit, it's going to kick it to bite the 8 foot at least. So I think this is a good call given the scoreboard. You don't want to give up 4 or 5 here. Could simply hit the open one, but I think like I said, that's conceding 4 points. So big shot by Christina out of nowhere, a chance for 4, perhaps 5 if this shot's not made properly. Weight looks close. Not able to move it enough. I think it might have moved it enough to maybe get 3rd shot out of that situation on the side. So this looks to be a draw for 4. Just not heavy enough to do anything too crazy on that. So just had that between Dean and Christina, they had that top 12 foot weight this end, and it didn't serve them well. But so it looks to be a draw for 4. I'm pretty sure they kicked that blue one enough that it kind of eliminates one of those reds on the side there. We're going to see when they update the scoreboard here, folks. So big shot for Michelle, anywhere in biting the 8 foot, gets them their 4 points. Trevor out to help. Definitely not heavy. Good scrub by Michelle and Trevor there. Deserves a high five. So, we're going to add them up here. Looks to be 4 for sure. We're going to wait for the update there, folks, and update the scoreboard, and we'll come back with you in a moment. We're back with you, folks, for 8th end action here at the 2024 BrokerLink Mixed Doubles Provincial Championships here at the Gauge. Our feature game, Wurm, Grattan, Barclay, Hanson. I gave them 4. We're just going to wait for the official update, but I gave them, Barclay, Hanson, a score of 4 in the 7th end. Both teams able to use the power plays effectively, scoring 4 for each of them in the last 2 ends. So we see how important that power play is. Little light on Michelle's first. I think Trevor's going to throw 2, 3, and 4. We've seen them switch the lineup up a couple times here, but Christina's back to throwing 1 and 4 in this end. So a little short on Michelle's first there. Leaves a couple of center guards. Dean and Christina are going to try to use those, get one around that. Big scrub by Dean end to end here. Just like last end, they've got that top 12 weight figured right out. So lots of room for Trevor and Michelle to get one in there. That rock that doesn't really do much for anybody, so there's plenty of room to draw around that top button. Trevor a little heavy on this one again. We saw that's in the first couple ends. He's kind of struggled with that in-turn being a little heavy and wide there. So once again, sails through the rings, but so it gives Dean and Christina another chance to cap this side off, bring it in top 4, top 8, top button. Lots of good options here. And it is official on the official board. It was a score of 4 for TrevorHanson, Michelle, Barclay, so our scoreboard is correct. Similar mistake for Dean Grattan here. Anything short would have been of value, but a little heavy and wide as well. So another just trading opportunities here in the 8th end. First one to get one top 4, top button would be in good scenario, good situation. So Trevor going to make the adjustment. Sailed his first one through, so going to take some off this. Once again, seemed a series of mistakes here in the 8th end, perhaps the pressure getting to both teams, but another chance to Same shot has been missed 3 times in a row, so we're going to see if Dean will, in his second attempt, can make the adjustments. Definitely needs to be top 8, top 4 here. Needs to take some off of this. Big moment in our game here, and you can kind of see it. Good shot by Dean, was able to make the adjustment. I think it curled enough to get a piece buried there, so gonna switch things up here now for Trevor. Gonna have to come around with the outturn side. I think the good news is for Dean and Christina, they didn't bury that entirely, so if Trevor was to make a good shot here back button, they will be able to use that one that Dean just threw to kind of run in and kick it out of there. But so great shot by Dean, able to make the adjustment after a series of shots that were a little bit heavy. So big shot here for Trevor. Has to be on the button area at this point, or else I think you'll see Dean and Christina kind of guard things up. Good shot by Trevor. Mission accomplished. Not quite all the way down to the back one where he wanted, but it is shot rock, so I think you'll see Dean follow it down, make a tap here. Oh, timeout. Good chance for a timeout. Good opportunity here to talk things out, figure it out. I think that red one being above the tee line does need to be moved. You won't be able to tap, but you'll be able to tap that blue one up for shot at some point as well. But I think plan A right now is just to move this one back. If you can somehow get to the inside of the one Trevor just threw as well, all the better. But I think you need to move the red for sure. Christina will always have that little slash on the blue for the win, but if you were able to kick this red one out now, puts the pressure back on Barclay Hanson. That would be my advice if I was not sure I'm right. I've played 3 games of doubles in my life, so but at this point, your final end, this has become more of a traditional game of curling. You just want to score 1 here. I think moving that to the back button at least makes that half rock kick, or you can run in and makes it even easier. So we'll see what they decide. Our head official, Catherine McLean, out there, she's going to put her hand up in the air in a moment to indicate there's 10 seconds left, and then once she puts that hammer down, that means it's over. You got to get moving. We call that the Catherine hammer. There it is. Time in. Now, it doesn't mean Dean and Christina have to stop talking about it, but definitely their time clock is running. I can't see the time clocks from here, but nobody seems to be too pressed for time. The other games, actually, on the other sheets are a little bit behind this one, which is rare for a game that has TrevorHanson on the scoreboard. So, but anyway, I think Dean and Christina have decided just to play a little tap on this blue, try to get shot rock. I think they only got to move it a couple inches. I think the key here is to roll your shooter away. You want to tick it in and get out of the way of that. You don't want Michelle to be able to play the in off, make the double back herself. So need to hit it on a little bit on the high side here. And once again, you just got to kick it in, get out of the way. Dean's off and on. Might not have enough weight here. Not sure, they're having their battle of heads here to try to see who shot rock. Ended up pretty good. I'm not sure the doubles there. I was thinking you might be able to thin double that, but it might hit your own or even jam on the back 4-foot one. So I think it's a pretty good shot by Dean there. I think by hitting it in the crotch of those two blues, you might actually hit the red. So I'm not sure who Trevor and them might think that they're shot and maybe throwing a guard here. Yeah, they seem pretty confident. It's kind of important if they were able to throw a guard on this one. Christina and Dean, not sure what they'll have. Probably just got to move that blue a millimeter, so this guard needs to be made. So guard is placed up. I think that might be able to hit their own blue maybe and roll into their blue and maybe move it a couple inches with just heavy draw, hack weight. If you can get by that that guard that Michelle just threw and hit half of your blue one on the edge of the forefoot, I think you'll definitely move that blue one in towards the button. So I think if there's as long as you can see a majority of this blue, I think that shot's there. There's nothing really on the outturn side with that red. You could pick it maybe through the hole with some PO8, but got to kick it off the button for sure. So that shot is there too, I suppose. But I think if you can see a majority of that blue rock, it's definitely a shot that Christina can make. I'm not sure what they've decided here. They're out of timeouts. Dean and Christina must think Trevor is shot rock as well. Let's see what I can. There's only two shots: is the peel on the red or a little hack weight or backline weight on that blue and hit half a rock. So we'll see what they come up with here. I think they've decided to hit that red rock. Gonna be all over this guard. We weren't on it early, but all right, we'll see if there's a measure in our future, or are they gonna just have a handshake agreement and decide who shot rock here. Both teams have had multiple looks at this. I think the general consensus is it's red, but nobody seems too certain. Stay with us while we figure out this game could be over if it's blue. But I think the general consensus is by both teams that it is red. So here we are with our head official, Catherine McLean, out there to do our official measure. So it is red. We will have an extra end here in our feature game on sheet 4. Great attempt by Dean on his last there. Just wasn't able to tap it a couple more millimeters probably is all it would have needed. So we're going to update our scores. A little quick word from our title sponsor and we'll be right back. Hey folks, extra N here in our feature game on sheet 4, Grattan Wurm versus Hanson and Barclay. Extra N, Grattan Wurm does have hammer. Let's update the other scores. We do have a couple more finals. We have Team King, Gage team from Brian King, Gabrielle King from the Gage Golf and Colonel Association just defeated Justine Como and Jack Smeltzer, and that was on sheet 2. Came back with a 3 and a steal of 1 in the 8th end to win that game. And we have Tracy Peasley, Abernathy, McNamara on sheet 3, back-to-back game. I think the lead's been exchanged about 4 times in this game. Tracy Peasley scoring 3 in the 7th to go up by 1 coming home. Abernathy McNamara does have hammer. And back to our feature game here, extra end. Michelle Barclay, TrevorHanson unable to come around that guard, wrecked on the guard again. So it gives Dean and Christina a chance to fill the 4-foot up at this point. So is a hole there on the outturn side to freeze one into the pocket there. Good shot by Christina there, placing it right on the tee line, dead buried around that center guard. She's been placing those rocks really well the whole entire game. Trevor a little heavy and wide there, perhaps. Wrecked on the outside guard, rolled to another center guard. The good news is Barclay Hanson doesn't have last rock here, and they got a couple center guards to work with, so it is going to come down to the wire. Dean and Christina are going to try to get in there first and plug things up a little bit. Maybe take away all these different paths that Barclay and Hanson have, but it's tough when you have 2 center guards. You're going to be down to the wire no matter what. Always going to be some chances here for Barclay and Hanson to get another one in there. So Dean a little light on that one. Doesn't want to provide a 3rd center guard, but did in this case. So I think another chance for Trevor to get one buried, frozen back button here, right on top of the button even. Lots of center guards to work with for Barclay and Hanson. Sometimes you just need to make that one real good one. So Trevor with his attempt here needs to figure out the draw weight here on this one. A little heavy on Trevor, still struggling with that draw weight this game. Sailed it to the back 12. Big opportunity to close things down here for Dean Grattan. If he somehow was to find top 8, top 4 here, put the pressure squarely on the shoulders of Barclay and Hanson. Clutch draw needed here. We do have another final. Abernathy and McNamara able to score 2 in the 8th end over Tracy and Peasley. I think that does eliminate our other Gage team, Tracy and Peasley. Great back and forth battle. Another lead change there in the 8th end. So Dean able to freeze, do what Trevor kind of wanted to do there and freeze back button, but it is a little heavy, so it does. The button is still available. The pinhole is still available for Trevor here. So needs to make this adjustment. Like I said, you only need to make one real good one, so this needs to be it. Dean would have liked that maybe 1 or 2 feet shorter there. Takes this the whole entire shot away from Trevor. Needs to be placed properly though. Trevor with his third and final shot of this end. Trying to make a curl. Not sure if it curled enough there, but looks to be maybe perhaps blue, still shot rock, edge of the back button. So if Dean was able to do the same shot he actually just made here on his previous shot, he probably ends the game. But yeah, right there. Just doesn't want to hit it high side and jiggle things up too much, but just made this shot, so good attempt by Trevor here. Just didn't quite curl enough for him. Dean was able to nose this, get in the inside with the kind of back button, back 4-foot weight. This make it real tough. Doesn't need to curl this. Came up a little light, blocks it off. It does allow Michelle to maybe hit this a little high side, jiggle things around. I think she does have to move. Trevor's going to have another look here. We had the same situation last end where they were looking at rocks on the button, unsure of who was shot, but we don't have an overhead view here for you. But judging by the body language by both teams, I think it is blue. Trevor switching angles here. They could hammer the red, but I think this is a good call. If you can able to make contact with the one back button, move that a couple inches even. This is probably about a half rock, I'd say. Kind of does the job. So switching to the intern side. We haven't seen this shot this side much this entire game. Most teams, the players have been on the other side of the sheet, but half a rock here for Michelle. Might be real tough for Grattan Wurm to score in this end. On it early, perhaps a little tight. So they're going to have another look here. Not sure if this game is over at this point or they're not sure. No, I think body language, like I said, is indicating that it is blue. So no, you don't want to do that if you're Dean, that's for sure. I'd stay away from that side. They do have an extra timeout in the extra end, so they are using it. Big, it's an important shot here. If you're not shot, then you have to try something. But if you're shot, you want to avoid that area. Hitting that blue onto that blue, moving it a couple millimeters is something that you don't want to do. I think they indicated the kind of a tap on this blue. If you have any inkling that you're shot, I would not be doing this. So, well, definitely don't want to make the other shot for the other team here, but I'm not sure. Hopefully, wondering if Christina is going to make a big attempt at this or not, but you could just simply draw right into the side. Now, she didn't really try too hard on that one. Rightly so. So I don't know if we're going to have another measure or we're going to have a concession here, but both teams seem to indicate that it was blue. So we're going to start removing rocks here a little bit, have a better look. Here comes the measuring stick. We got our official Adib Saman out here to give us our official 9th end, extra end, ball game, any word you want to use here, measure. It's always tough to measure these things when they're so close to the button, so I think that's why they're bringing in the professional. You could probably get rid of the other blue run at the back 4 as well. Both thirds, Christina and Michelle, trying to get a good look here over Adib's shoulder here. Crucial measure. The loser of this game is eliminated from competition. Not sure what they indicated there. Well, we're going to give it an applause either way. I'm going to wait for the official update here. I missed who they tapped there at the end. Did anybody see it? Chime in on the chat. Still waiting for an official result here. Official score. Take Grattan Wurm take 1 in the 9th end, the extra end. So an extra end victory for Grattan Wurm in our feature game on sheet 4. Fantastic game. I think we picked the best one to broadcast here to you folks. So thanks for joining us here in draw 11. We'll be back for draw 12 in about an hour or so. So thanks for joining us. Great game. Congrats to Grattan and Wurm, and congrats on a great event for Barclay and Hanson. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you all soon.